Welcome to Watch List. This is the NFL regular season week 4 picks and power rankings. First, I'm going to go over how I did last week and then show you what the updated rankings are based on all the lists out there. And then finally, my game picks for next week. So here's how we did last week. First off, it looks like both going with the rankings and my instinct picks, we were both 10 and 6. So that's 63%. On the season so far, the ranking picks are 71%, and my instinct picks are at 73%. So pretty close, slightly different. Where I was wrong and where I was right, let's see. The first game of the week, Buffalo won. That was no surprise. But it was a hard-fought game, and Josh Allen had 3 touchdowns, and Tua had that late interception, which pretty much sealed it. Oh, the early games. Atlanta Falcons, man, they got blown out. Both of us had the Falcons winning. They got blown out by Panthers dominated 30-0, and we had a Kirk Cousins appearance. Another big surprise, Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns. The Browns didn't look like they had a chance, but they win. Packers only scored 10 points, so the Cleveland defense has all credit there. One that I got right, Jacksonville over Houston. Jacksonville's second one on the season, and Houston is still winless. Minnesota and Cincinnati, the battle of the backup quarterbacks, and Carson Wentz won the day with an easy 48-10 victory. Pittsburgh versus the Patriots. I know Pittsburgh won. This is the game where Aaron Rodgers had 2 touchdowns, and I think he passed Brett Favre on the all-time list. It's pretty cool. Oh, Patriots had 5 turnovers. That's kind of the main thing there. Rams and the Eagles. This one was very controversial. Not controversial, but like 2 blocked field goals in the fourth quarter, including a game-winning blocked field goal return for a touchdown for the Eagles. Pretty big comeback overall, so that was pretty impressive. Tampa Bay won. Last second heroics there. Baker Mayfield, they found a way to win, and as the Jets, they found a way to lose. Indianapolis Colts win again. They win big. 3rd win of the season. They're undefeated. Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns. Washington versus the Raiders. I don't know why I keep picking the Raiders. I have some kind of affinity for them because I lived in California when I was a kid. Yeah. They have 1 win on the season, and I've picked against Washington each time. That's kind of sucks. Marcus Mariota with the backup quarterback doing great for Washington there. Sorry. I'll stop picking the Raiders. Chargers, Broncos. I think the Chargers won. Very tight game, but it's their 3rd win in a row in the division, which is great for them. Seattle Seahawks won pretty easily against probably the worst team in the league, the Saints. Oh, and then the Dallas Cowboys. Can't count on them for anything. They disappoint, aren't they? Bears win, get their first win of the season. Arizona Cardinals. I thought they'd win. They lost by 1 point, even with all the injuries. 49ers lose another one, Nick Bosa. Tough win for them. Kansas City Chiefs finally get their first win, and the New York Giants fans are finally going to get their wish, and they're going to see the new rookie quarterback, Jackson Dart. And that last game, oh man, this was a good matchup. The 6 team versus the 4 team, and Detroit Lions won, so I think in the rankings this week they're going to switch spots. So let's move on to the rankings. And here are the updated rankings. I'm doing this earlier, so I don't have Tom Brady or Rich Eisen yet, and I'm skipping out on that Pro Football Focus because of their paywall. But here we go. New team again. Well, back to being the Eagles. Last week, Buffalo had moved up to number 1 spot. This week, the Eagles are back. This is mostly because right here, first place votes. 13 first place votes for the Eagles. Only 5 for Buffalo, and no one else has a first place vote. Buffalo overall, though, you look, their high is a 1, but their low vote is only a 2. So they're between either a first or second place vote. Whereas some guy over here, the NFL Spin Zone, they have actually the craziest list. They have the Eagles at number 7, which is quite a range of 6 there. The Chargers, they're the third team, but their highest ranking overall is a third. And they have a 7, but their average comes out to 4.3. The team that has the second highest vote, besides the 2 first places, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has one second place vote over here. It looks like NFL Spin Zone, the same one with these crazy results. They have a first, but also here at CBS Sports, they have a third place vote as well. So Tampa Bay has quite the range, but they're still sitting there at number 6. I don't think everybody's a believer yet, although they're undefeated. And I know Baker Mayfield's in the conversation for early season MVP so far. Speaking of the NFL Spin Zone, this list, I just want to call out that they actually did their list or put it out before the Monday night game. So they have the Ravens sitting at number 3 and the Lions at number 9. I think they might switch that up if they are so inclined, or maybe wait until after the Monday night game's done to finish that list next time. Okay, what else do we got? Let's look at the low-end teams. So there are 3 teams that got last place votes, and they are down here. Miami had 3 of them, Tennessee had 2, and the Saints with 13 last place votes, the majority there. So Miami stays where they're at, and those 2 drop back down again. Because one of the teams that jumped up is Carolina. They had a nice 5-point jump there because they had that huge victory over Atlanta, but that was not the biggest jump of the week. There are 2. The Minnesota Vikings jumped up by 6 points, or 6 rankings. They were up there before. They had a bad week last week with offense was pretty bad, but then all of a sudden they come in and they have a blowout victory. So, +6 there for Minnesota. And then the Cleveland Browns, they beat the Green Bay Packers, which were ranked, I think, 3rd last week. And, yeah, they were 3rd. And they beat them by, defense, 13-10. And Cleveland is now moved up to the 25th spot, not too far down. Like the beginning of the season, maybe they were the 2nd worst team, 31st overall. So, they can keep improving. The other direction, Atlanta getting blown out like they did to Carolina Panthers. They actually are still ranked ahead of the Panthers because they fell 6 spots because they were way up there. And the Panthers are only up to number 27. So those are some interesting moves there. Last thing I'll call out real quick is this range. Again, for the 4th week in a row, the Pittsburgh Steelers have the biggest or 2nd largest range between their highest and lowest rankings. So they have a high of 12 and a low of 27. So who gave them the 12? Fox Sports. Who gave them the 27? NFL Trade Rumors. So that's a 15-point span. Also, the Kansas City Chiefs. Someone still has them at 5, even though they've lost twice. So Fox Sports still has them at the 5th best team. They've been to the Super Bowl 4 out of 5 years, so makes sense. But who's got them at an 18? Oh, right here, NFL Spin Zone with the crazy list. So there's that 13-point span. And then the 49ers, San Francisco, has got a high vote of a 3. I kind of mocked them last week saying Sporting News is probably a local San Francisco paper, giving them a 3 this week, even moved up from last week there. And then they have a 15 down in, where's the 15? Right there. Walter Football has them at 15, so they got a 12-point span. Anyway, there's the updated rankings, and now I can move on to the picks of the week. And let's switch that over to week number 4. Here we go. By default, here's what the rankings have given. And on some of these ones that are close, I might expand and see what their top and bottom are as far as the highest and lowest ranking. So here we go. So Seattle versus Arizona. I think I'm kind of on this Arizona bandwagon. I know Seattle's looking good, but I'm going to go with Arizona. That's my first one that's off. Why? I don't know. I just think Arizona is a little underrated still. They lost to the 49ers by 1 point. Pittsburgh and the Minnesota Vikings. This one takes place, I think, in Dublin. And I'm going to go with Pittsburgh there. I'm just kind of, on a feel. I think let's look. This is one where they're really close. They both have a high vote of 12, but the Steelers have that low one of 27. Otherwise, they'd probably be closer. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh on that. Washington and the Falcons. I'm not picking against Washington again. Let's see. Buffalo versus the Saints. Yes, Buffalo. After Detroit's big win, even with Cleveland's win over Packers, I think Detroit's going to win that one. Houston. Are they going to win their first game of the season? Yeah, they're going to win. New England and Carolina. Ooh, Carolina had that big win. Ooh, they're 26 versus 27. Let's see what the top and bottom here are. New England actually has a higher... Somebody's got them at 20th. They're pretty much within one vote of each other on both. So, I guess I'm going to pick the home team in that aspect. Chargers and Giants, rookie quarterbacks coming in. Jackson Dart, I think the Chargers will win that one again. Tampa Bay versus Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. We know the Eagles are the number one team. Tampa Bay, like I told you before, they've got a second place vote there. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay to surprise. Rams, Colts. Oh, man, this is another tight one. I'm just going to go with the Rams here. It's tough. Jacksonville and the 49ers. Ooh, this one, I'm going to go with San Francisco. Kansas City and Baltimore. Baltimore's ranked higher, even though they've lost twice. They both lost twice. Kansas City's at home. I'm going to have to go with Kansas City. Let's see, the Raiders and the Bears. Not going to pick the Raiders this time. Sorry, Raiders. Green Bay versus the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, Green Bay. Dallas, man, I can't pick them for anything anymore. Jets versus Dolphins. Do the Dolphins get their first win? Do the Jets get their first win? I'm going with the home team. They're both both down there. I'm going with Miami. Cincinnati and Denver. I'm going with Denver. So there you go. I know, probably didn't make much sense. I'm just picking based on my instincts, but there you go. Hope I do better this week. Last week was not a good week for me. So thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.